Hello everyone, and a warm welcome to the introductory module devoted to organic chemistry. You may not have noticed, but you are already a highly skilled organic chemist. As you watch this lecture, your eyes are using an organic compound called retinol to convert visible light into nerve impulses. As you typed in the name of this lecture, your muscles were undergoing chemical reactions on sugars to provide you with the energy you needed. As you understand what I am telling now, gaps between your brain cells are being bridged by simple organic molecules, neurotransmitter amines, so that nerve impulses can be passed around your brain. And you did all that without consciously thinking about it. You do not yet understand these processes in your mind as well as you can carry them out in your brain and body. You are not alone there. In this course, I am going to show you what enormous strides have been taken in the understanding of organic chemistry since the science came into being in the early years of the 19th century. Organic chemistry began as a tentative attempt to understand the chemistry of life. It has grown into the confident basis of worldwide activities that feed, clothe, and cure millions of people without their even being aware of the role of chemistry in their lives. Chemists cooperate with physicists and mathematicians to understand how molecules behave, and with biologists to understand how interactions between molecules underlie all of life. The Enlightenment brought by chemistry in the 20th century amounted to a revolution in our understanding of the molecular world. But in these first decades of the 21st century, the revolution is still far from complete. I am not to give you the measurements of the skeleton of a dead science, but to equip you to understand the conflicting demands of an adolescent one. Like all sciences, chemistry has a unique place in our pattern of understanding of the universe. It is the science of molecules. But organic chemistry is something more. It literally creates itself as it grows. Of course, we need to study the molecules of nature both because they are interesting in their own right and because their functions are important to our lives. Organic chemistry has always been able to illuminate the mechanisms of life by making new molecules that give information not available from the molecules actually present in living things. This creation of new molecules has provided us with new materials such as plastics for manufacturing, new dyes for coloring our clothes, new perfumes for personal use, and new drugs for treating diseases. Some people perceive these activities as unnatural and consider their products dangerous or unwholesome. However, these new molecules are synthesized by humans from other molecules naturally found on Earth, utilizing the inherent skills of our brains. Birds build nests, people build houses, which is unnatural. To the organic chemist, this is a meaningless distinction. There are toxic compounds and nutritious ones, stable compounds and reactive ones. But there is only one type of chemistry. It occurs both inside our brains and bodies, and in our flasks and reactors. Born from the ideas in our minds and the skills in our hands. I do not intend to position myself as a moral judge in any way. I believe it is essential to strive to understand the world around us to the best of our abilities and to use that understanding creatively. This is what I aim to share with you in this course. Organic chemistry started as the chemistry of life, when that was thought to be different from the chemistry in the laboratory. Then it became the chemistry of carbon compounds, especially those found in coal. But now it is both. It is the chemistry of the compounds formed by carbon and other elements such as are found in living things, in the products of living things, and wherever else carbon is found. The most abundant organic compounds are those present in living things and those formed over millions of years from dead things. In earlier times, the organic compounds known from nature were those in the essential oils that could be distilled from plants and the alkaloids that could be extracted from crushed plants with acid. Menthol is a famous example of a flavoring compound from the essential oil of spearmint, and cisjasmone an example of a perfume distilled from jasmine flowers. Natural products have long been used to cure diseases, and in the 16th century one became famous. Quinine was extracted from the bark of the South American cinchona tree and used to treat fevers, especially malaria. The Jesuits who did this work did not, of course, know what the structure of quinine was, but now we do. More than that, the molecular structure of quinine has inspired the design of modern drug molecules which treat malaria much more effectively than quinine itself. The main reservoir of chemicals available to the 19th century chemist was coal. Distillation of coal to give gas for lighting and heating also gave a brown tar rich in aromatic compounds such as benzene, pyridine, phenol, aniline, and thiophene. Phenol was used in the 19th century by Lister as an antiseptic in surgery, and aniline became the basis for the dyestuffs industry. It was this that really started the search for new organic compounds made by chemists rather than by nature. In 1856, while trying to make quinine from aniline, an 18-year-old British chemist, William Perkin, managed to produce a mauve residue, mauveine, which revolutionized the dyeing of cloth and gave birth to the synthetic dyestuffs industry. Perkin's attempt to synthesize quinine from aniline was a remarkable practical challenge, especially considering that, at that time, the structure of quinine was still unknown. A related dyestuff of this kind, still available, is Bismarck brown. Much of the early work on dyes was done in Germany. In the 20th century, oil overtook coal as the main source of bulk organic compounds, so that simple hydrocarbons like methane, propane, and butane became available for fuel. At the same time, chemists began the search for new molecules from new sources such as fungi, corals, and bacteria, and two organic chemical industries developed in parallel: bulk and fine chemicals. Bulk chemicals like paints and plastics are usually based on simple molecules produced in multi-known quantities, while fine chemicals such as drugs, perfumes, and flavoring materials are produced in smaller quantities but much more profitably. As of now, there are over 16 million organic compounds known. How many more might there be? Even counting only moderately sized molecules, containing fewer than about 30 carbon atoms, it has been estimated that something in the region of 10 raised to the power of 63 stable compounds are possible. There are not enough carbon atoms in the universe to make them all. Among the 16 million that have been made, there are all kinds of molecules with amazingly varied properties. Organic compounds may be crystalline solids, oils, waxes, plastics, elastics, mobile or volatile liquids, or gases. Familiar ones include sugar, a cheap natural compound isolated from plants as hard white crystals when pure, and petrol, a mixture of colorless, volatile, flammable hydrocarbons. Isooctane is a typical example and gives its name to the octane rating of petrol. The compounds need not lack color. Indeed, we can soon dream up a rainbow of organic compounds covering the whole spectrum, not to mention black and brown. In this table, I have avoided dyestuffs and have chosen compounds as varied in structure as possible. Color is not the only characteristic by which we recognize compounds. All too often, it is their odor that lets us know they are around. There are some quite foul organic compounds, too. The infamous stench of the skunk is a mixture of two thiols, sulfur compounds containing SH groups. But perhaps the worst smell ever recorded was the one that caused the evacuation of the German city of Freiburg in 1889. Attempts to synthesize thioacetone by cracking trithioacetone resulted in an offensive smell which spread rapidly over a great area of the town, causing fainting, vomiting, and a panic evacuation. The laboratory work was abandoned. There are two candidates for this dreadful smell: propane dithiol or 4-methyl 4-sulfonylpen and 2-on. It is unlikely that anyone else will be brave enough to resolve the controversy surrounding the cracking of trithioacetone. But nasty smells have their uses. The natural gas piped into homes contains small amounts of deliberately added sulfur compounds such as tert-butyl-thiol. When I say small, I mean very small. Humans can detect 1 part in 50 million parts of natural gas due to added tert-butyl-thiol. Other compounds have delightful odors. To redeem the honor of sulfur compounds, I must cite the truffle, which pigs can smell through a meter of soil and whose taste and smell is so delightful that truffles cost more than their weight in gold. Damascenones are responsible for the smell of roses. If you smell 1 drop, you will be disappointed, as it smells rather like turpentine or camphor, but next morning, you, and the clothes you are wearing, will smell powerfully of roses. Many smells develop on dilution. Humans are not the only creatures with a sense of smell. We can find mates using all our senses, but insects cannot do this. They are small in a crowded world, and they find those of the opposite sex of their own species by smell. Most insects produce volatile compounds that can be picked up by a potential mate in incredibly weak concentrations. Only 1.5 milligrams of serotonin, the sex pheromone of the cigarette beetle, could be isolated from 65,000 female beetles, so there is not much in each beetle. Nevertheless, the slightest whiff of it causes the males to gather and attempt frenzied copulation. The sex pheromone of the beetle Papillia japonica, also given off by the females, has been made by chemists. In this case, as little as 5 micrograms was more effective than 4 virgin females in attracting the males. Do not suppose that the females always do all the work. Both male and female olive flies produce pheromones that attract the other sex. The remarkable thing is that one mirror image of the molecule attracts the males while the other attracts the females. Mirror image isomers of a molecule called frontalin are also emitted by male elephants. Female elephants can tell the age and appeal of a potential mate from the amount of each isomer he produces. What about taste? Consider the grapefruit. Its main flavor comes from another sulfur compound, and human beings can detect concentrations reaching parts per billion of this compound. Why evolution should have left us so extraordinarily sensitive to grapefruit, I leave you to imagine. For a nasty taste, I should mention bittering agents, put into dangerous household substances like toilet cleaner to stop children drinking them by accident. Notice that this complex organic compound is actually a salt. It has positively charged nitrogen and negatively charged oxygen atoms, and this makes it soluble in water. Other organic compounds have strange effects on humans. Various drugs, such as alcohol and cocaine, are taken in various ways to make people temporarily happy. They have their dangers. Too much alcohol leads to a lot of misery, and any cocaine at all may make you a slave for life. Again, let's not forget other creatures. Cats seem to be able to go to sleep anywhere, at any time. This surprisingly simple compound, isolated from the cerebrospinal fluid of cats, appears to be part of their sleep control mechanism. It makes them, or rats, or humans fall asleep immediately. This compound is a derivative of fatty acids. Fatty acids in the diet are a popular preoccupation, and the good and bad qualities of saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fatty acids are continually in the news. One of the many dietary molecules reckoned to have demonstrable anticancer activity is CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, which is found in dairy products and, most abundantly, in kangaroo meat. Resveratrol is another dietary component with beneficial effects. It may be responsible for the apparent ability of red wine to prevent heart disease. It is a quite different sort of organic compound, with 2 benzene rings. For a third edible molecule, how about vitamin C? This is an essential factor in your diet. That is why it is called a vitamin, and in the diet of other primates, guinea pigs, and fruit bats. Interestingly, other mammals possess the biochemical machinery to make it themselves. The disease scurvy, a degeneration of soft tissues from which sailors on the long voyages of past centuries suffered, results from a lack of vitamin C. It also is a universal antioxidant, scavenging for rogue reactive radicals and protecting damage to DNA. Some people think an extra-large intake may even protect against the common cold. To summarize, in this lecture, you have seen the organic molecules directly involved in some of your everyday activities. By completing this course, you will gain a better understanding of the principles of life on the molecular level. The following lecture will describe the relationship between organic chemistry and industry using specific examples. Thank you for your attention.